Pretty much everybody knows that there are legalized crime rings active and afoot, funding the current disturbing illusion that all of us are forced to play a part in. And these crime rings operate state by state, specializing in asset removal. And by asset removal, I mean theft of hard-earned property. And by theft of hard-earned property, I mean taxation. This particular state's crime ring, and don't feel left out, you have this particular crime ring also operating in your state. Well, this particular crime ring runs no different than a mafia or a gang, other than the fact that gangs like these present themselves as legitimate and necessary. The funny thing about these gangs is that they bill themselves as revenue services when really they're just serving themselves. It'd be like a mosquito, leech, or tick calling themselves blood service agents, when we all know they're not serving you, they're just working hard to extract the fluid that gives you life. In the same way, these state agents aren't serving you, they're there to extract the product of your time, labor, and energy. You work hard to accumulate wealth, and they work hard to relieve you of that hard-earned wealth. Cody Detweiler, famous on his Whistlin Diesel YouTube channel for conducting vehicle durability tests.
Are Cybertrucks as durable as Elon says they are? The drive shaft! Welcome to G-Wagon durability test number 3.
Is about to conduct a state of Tennessee durability test on the Tennessee Department of Revenue. I want to cover and comment on Cody's latest video because it focuses on two main topics: a gag order put in place by the state possibly as soon as tomorrow, and the state's tax evasion claim against Cody. And the main reason I want to go over this is because it's clearly a projection campaign saying, hey, if we can go after Cody, Mr. Millionaire Cody, we're going to come after you. You better pay us what you owe. When the fact of the matter is, you don't owe the state a gosh darn thing. You have the right to be free and to keep 100% of everything you spend your time, labor, and energy earning. If somebody tries to take the product of that time, labor, and energy against your will and without your consent, well, there's a word for that. It's called theft. And if they're going to use a gun and threaten you in the process, it's called extortion. And that's exactly what the state is doing to Cody. And that's what the state desires to do to every single one of us. So let's get into this and make some comments along the way.
Okay, I am making this video to discuss two major updates regarding the reason I was arrested by 5 police officers at my front door and jailed several days ago. So obviously this was a big surprise to me. I had no clue what any of this was for, as I said in my last video, and I made that video as an update to give you guys transparency. Obviously my mugshot is on the internet. I've never been arrested before. I have a clean criminal record, and I think the public deserves to know why, right? That is something that you would think would be deserved, the freedom of speech. That's why it was quite surprising to me that after making that video, I got not only this investigative report related to the tax evasion, the alleged tax evasion, but also a gag order to stop talking about it, which you would think would violate my First Amendment right. I had no clue that existed. I didn't know what a gag order was, so I did some research. Basically, it would say that if this goes through, which I have court for on Monday, not even the tax evasion thing, the gag order, if this were to go through on Monday, I would not be able to say anything at all about this case. No videos, no updates. I cannot talk about it. So I want to talk about this gag order because it's very interesting.
Well, in other words, the government wants an uninformed public in order to convict a fellow American in court. They know the best way to defend yourself against lies is with the truth. And if you disseminate the truth, they don't like that, so they're going to put a gag order on you. Historically speaking, the people who want to censor other people have been and are the bad guys. And if they do solidify this in Monday's proceedings, You got to understand, this isn't just a violation of freedom of speech. This whole thing, including the tax evasion charge, is a violation of your unalienable right to be secure in your persons, houses, papers, and effects. You can't be secure in those things if the state can willy-nilly just take those things from you against your will and without your consent.
Not as interesting as this report, which we're about to talk about too. So I want to make this video out of transparency to show you guys what is going on in the government, what they're allowed to do anyways, factually what is going on in my life. This is just an update for the thing they're trying to put me in prison for. So in this gag order, they list my influence. I have 20 million combined followers. It says the gag order would prohibit me from making any pretrial extrajudicial statement via any form of social media platform. So they show all my social media posts, me saying I'm going to take the killdozer to court. They show my Instagram posts, they show my story posts, they show just me covering what happened. And then, referencing the YouTube video I made, they got over 6 million views. And obviously that made it to the top pretty quick because a lot of people saw how absurd the case was. And
that video should get 60 million views, maybe 334 million views.
People up there heard about it from those people. It says, based upon the foregoing, the state moves this court to enter a gag order against the defendant, applicable to any and all of his social media platforms, prohibiting him from commenting on the case or its fact pattern in any fashion, and from attempting to monetize the prosecution in any form. Threaten the ability of the state to prosecute the case fairly and without outside influence, and potentially threaten the safety of those involved in the prosecution.
I can totally see King George sending the redcoats across the Atlantic to deliver this message to the colonists. It's wording like this that started the American Revolution.
So number one, I don't think anyone here's a threat. I think people are just confused and a little angry. People are rightfully angry. If they came to my door for something this absurd, they're not stopping there. They've shown what they are willing to do. And what I'm about to reveal in this gets a lot more dirty. Then, of course, they emphasize that they would prohibit me from attempting to monetize the case in any form. So on this page, they have a screenshot of my merch for sale. You know what my merch has on it? Which, thank you guys for buying it. That actually, my legal fees are still more than what sold in merch. But you know what my merch has on it is the public indictment page that they posted when someone gets arrested. Anybody can access this. It was already public. All I did was draw a lot more attention to it. So that has, it's public. It has names on it, and mostly the Department of Revenue is responsible for this.
In other words, we don't want you to monetize any of your social media posts because we don't want you making any money as we proceed to try to steal your money. This is huge, and it should get under the skin of every single red-blooded American. Enough is enough. We've been messed with enough. They've stolen enough money from us. They've wasted enough money creating the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, the long and costly drug war, the foreign aid, the wars abroad in our name. Every single bomb that they drop, every single drone that they launch or missile that they launch, every single body part that's blown up in a foreign land is done with the money that they extract from us. I think enough is enough.
The fact that my First Amendment right is being tampered with is insane.
But the fact that your Fourth Amendment right to be secure in your persons, houses, papers, effects, everything you own, everything you've accumulated throughout your life, that's being jeopardized too. Why isn't anybody talking about that? Why does everybody just want to talk? No, I want to speak freely. I want to continue to complain against my government. Don't shut me up. Well, guess what? Part of that complaint is, hey, you're stealing my stuff. The colonists didn't tolerate it. Grandma didn't tolerate it. Grandpa didn't tolerate it. And I'm not going to tolerate it either. Even though I've been taught to tolerate it for years in the 15,000-hour public fool indoctrination program.
That's actually insane. I did not know that a gag order was possible. With is insane. So the fact that my First Amendment right, and mostly the Department of Revenue is responsible for this. So the fact that my First Amendment right is being tampered with is insane. That's actually insane. I did not know that a gag order was possible. And so I have court for that on Monday, before this whole thing. That just shows how much this whole thing is going to blow up. So I don't know if they poked the wrong hornet's nest or everybody was assuming they might try to make an example out of me. I would assume they knew that I'm going to make content on this. So I think the reason they want me to stop talking about all this is that my influence is so big, they state all my followers and everything and my influence on social media, that I could basically everyone could side with me and I could bias the jury and it wouldn't make a fair trial. For me against the government, for me against the state government, it wouldn't be fair. It wouldn't be fair for them. So they want me to stop talking about it. Now, I agree, it's not fair for anyone to threaten anyone. Please don't threaten anyone, but it's totally okay. You have a freedom of speech as well. to ask the Department of Revenue why they are doing this. So it is cool. I'm legally allowed to talk about all this until Monday if that were to go through, which...
You have just as much of a right to retain your stuff as you have the right to express your speech. Remember that.
Is going to be quite difficult considering I very much so value my First Amendment right. So that was my First Amendment right.
Come on, let's talk about Fourth Amendment too, though, Cody. I don't know if you're going to get this video, but let's talk about the Fourth Amendment too. Let's really change this nation. This is supposed to be land of the free, home of the brave, not the land of the fee, home of the slave. And that's exactly what this is. When they're going to take you to court, when you've done everything right, even according to their own tax code, we've got to work together to get rid of this nonsense income tax and state tax crap.
And right here, I have a many-page long investigative report on all the details of this case. Now, I can't say I was too surprised when I read this because a lot of it made sense, but I did laugh when I was reading it because it gets a lot more absurd. As we know, this is over $27,000 in sales tax on my one singular Ferrari F8, which burned down. It doesn't exist anymore. It's in this cube.
And another legitimate question to ask along the lines of state accountability and efficiency is, how much is the state of Tennessee going to spend to litigate this case? And I looked it up. They plan on spending at least $15,000 to $35,000 to collect on what they claim is a $27,000 tax evasion debt. And if they win the case, then they can also recover the cost of the prosecution from Cody.
I guess they got an anonymous tip several years ago that I was registering vehicles in Montana and those vehicles were in Tennessee. So they put together this massive case and they contacted 13 people mostly from the state. They contacted the dealership I bought the Ferrari from. They contacted the shop who replaced the exhaust on the Ferrari. But most importantly, they contacted my accountant. She pays my federal taxes, my income taxes, and everything else. She handles my finances. She handles my cars, my payments. And she's a good accountant.
Remember, they contacted his accountant a couple years ago.
Because when they called her, a special agent, I guess, from the state called my accountant. And they asked her all these questions. They said, do you give Cody financial advice? They asked some questions about Montana LLCs. And they were kind of digging. It says in the document, she called them back and asked if there was a problem with Detweiler's Montana registrations. She asked if we should move all of the Montana assets to Tennessee. In other words, register them in Tennessee and pay the sales tax. The accountant was advised not to speak to Detweiler about the conversation and to leave assets as they were until the investigation was complete. That was it.
Don't tell him we contacted you. The Tennessee government is telling his accountant, don't tell your client that we contacted you. Don't touch any of the assets until our investigation is complete. In other words, don't tell him that he needs to make corrective actions because we want to get him. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like malicious prosecution.
A year ago. Instead of saying that I owed any tax or sending a bill or a letter or a notification or a notice or telling my accountant that she should talk to me and let's get this taken care of so that we can be in compliance with the law, they asked that I not be informed about it. I don't know about you guys, and this isn't me defending myself, but that is wild. So they wanted me to not know. That just shows me that this was not about the money. This was never...
It's not just wild, it's evil. Hey, we think he's wrong, but don't tell him that we think he's doing wrong. Let him continue to do what we think is wrong so we can get him.
About the money. This was not about $27,000. This was about sending a message. So I don't know if they targeted this and chose me on purpose because they thought it would get the word out that, oh, they're collecting tax. You better move your registrations to Tennessee. I think they picked the wrong guy for that because even though it was public when it happened, it's going to be a lot more public now. I find it so wild that instead of informing me of how to be compliant over a year ago and collecting the tax, they decided to do all of this. Arrest me and take me to jail and progress this whole case, which I looked up the punishment for. You know what some of the max punishment for tax evasion on this is? 1 to 6 years in prison.
That's egregious. Hey, let's send this guy who's never harmed anybody. He's never threatened to harm anybody. He's never damaged property. He hasn't stolen property and not, given it back or whatever. And he's actually a good community member pouring tons of resources into the community. I got a good idea, the state says. Let's put this guy in a cage.
Let me ask you guys a question for the viewers watching this. I don't know code A27-610C9324A98764 of the tax code. I don't, frankly. I take the advice of the people around me and maybe business advisors and people who I trust and friends who I talk to. And I put together the best plan that I think is to run a business. And I think everybody in the United States wants to file their taxes appropriately.
And that there's that kind of code with that kind of code number just tells you that it's intentionally complex and convoluted so they can put a rope around your neck and tie it tight and eventually just take everything you got and bleed you of all your resources.
Everybody knows, okay, pay your taxes or you're gonna get arrested. That's obvious. But when there's no information or education provided on it, and you are simply, your first move is to build a case and arrest those people, the trust in the government is lost. There
should never be trust in the government. When the people fear the government, there's tyranny. When the government fears the people, there's liberty.
100% lost. If they stopped with, like, if they did this to me, they're not stopping with me. This is going to happen to other people. This just shows what they will do. These two things, this is what I wanted to talk about. If you get anything out of this video, it is that they say I owed tax, but they would not tell me, and they would not tell me what I owed, and they would not educate me on what was owed or inform me about it. And they also want to take away, tamper with, I guess, my First Amendment right. That's wild. And just so you guys know, if you owe money to the IRS, they send you a letter. They say, hey, you owe this amount, you have this amount of time to pay it. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I get mail at my address, which is exactly why I was so confused about all of this. I was like, if, God forsaken, like I got super sick and couldn't check my mail or something happened, I'm on a long vacation, I was like, if I owe tax and I don't know about it or I did something wrong, I will get a letter or a notification and they're going to tell me and I can be in compliance. I know this, right? Yeah, I was very surprised. I did not find any of this information. I got these documents like a week and a half or 2 weeks now. No, it's been like minimum 2 weeks after this arrest that I got these documents to see all of this. It reassured what I kind of thought because I was like, I never got a notification. And I had heard something roundabout, like way through the telephone of like this phone call to my accountant, but there was no information about it. It was really weird. I was like, was someone informed of this? And this makes so much sense of like, no one was allowed to contact me because they wanted to put together this case and like pin me for it. You know what I think it is? I think they started this whole mess to make a statement. And then when they realized that they messed up, they have this to shut me up because they don't want people knowing about all of this. What did they think would happen? Like, rightfully so, everyone's frustrated. Maybe I've said this already. I hate the fact that it looks like I'm defending myself, right? Because who wouldn't? Who wouldn't defend themselves against, some sort of legal issue, right? I get it. I don't want to sound conceited in this. I'd rather not be making this video, frankly, though. I think most of the public thinks that if the government says they did something wrong on their taxes, they're going to get a notice or a notification or a letter. Apparently, that's not always true. I'm not a tax expert. I take the advice of friends and family and people around me, and I try to do the best I can to have a good business and, have a good life. Oh, yeah. Okay,
before he says this next part, this is the government going to Cody going, shh, don't let anybody know that we've treated you wrongly. Don't let anybody know that we're committing evil against you. You better shut up. And if you let somebody know, well, we're going to put a gag order on you. And if you violate that gag order, we're going to get you even more. So please don't let anybody know that we're really sticking it to you.
It was interesting. They list all the people they talked to. One of the people they talked to also was like a lawyer I'd used years ago, like 5 years ago, 4 or 5. And he did like 2 documents for me. There's a statement in this, neither Detweiler nor an attorney representing him were interviewed in this case. So like they knew, they could have found my attorney because my DeKalb County one with the jet ski thing, that was public and he's the same attorney that did that. They could have easily found my attorney and talked to him and we could have amicably resolved this. But nope, they wanted to do it sneakily. They wanted to show up at my house and arrest me and put me in jail. They wanted to shut me up. And I think now everybody's realizing how much of a mistake this was. I think the people at the state want to collect sales tax and they probably wanted to send a message and they were like, what better person to use as an example than this guy that destroys Ferraris, which this was an accident, by the way. I just like to have fun. I'm a random Joe Schmo. As much as what I do looks crazy, there's a lot of times my bank account's still zero. I reinvest just enough to do what I want to do. My goal in life is experiences, not money. Even though I think it's amazing to have a cool car and a lot of cool things, those things end up destroyed because I have fun with them. Like what I want is an experience. I think they saw me as some sort of easy target. I guess maybe they haven't seen how we handle that. Oh, here's another interesting thing. They state in this document that I signed a 3-day removal affidavit, a paper saying I've removed the Ferrari from Tennessee in 3 days. And I did not remember doing that. When you buy a car at a dealership, you get a stack of papers bigger than this. It's like this. And they go, sign here, sign here, sign here. And there's like 25 papers that you sign. So I don't know if that was mixed into there or something, but like my goal throughout everything I do in my business is to be squeaky clean. I want to be in compliance with the law. Like I wouldn't put all the work and effort and improvement and investments into my business if I was just going to risk it all for some stupid legal issue,
We need to move away from that attitude. I just want to be in compliance with the law. There used to be a law where it was legal to own people, to own men and women. to own slaves. They used to be legal. I just want to be in compliance with the law. It used to be illegal to free slaves. I just want to be in compliance with the law. Be careful saying that you're a law-abiding citizen or that you want to be in compliance with the law, because most laws are evil, unjust, and just absolutely immoral. You want to be in compliance with what is right. And you want to be in resistance and in opposition to what is wrong.
Like, my goal is to be in compliance.
And if a law is wrong, if injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty.
I don't want to cause problems. What I do looks crazy, but I try to be in compliance with everything I do. This whole case has just been wild. I really appreciate everyone's support, genuinely. I just did a podcast with Cameron Haynes about this yesterday, good friend of mine, and I went to Tucker Carlson's Christmas party. And the people are the ones in charge. I don't have anything against you guys personally. I'm transparent with the public because this is America. They deserve to know what's going on with me when they see my mugshot online, and they deserve to know what's going on in the government. So America is for the people, and the people are the ones in charge. I don't have anything against you guys personally. I haven't seen your faces. I'm sure you're for the people going on. I would prefer to not make these videos the sales tax in this case. So my job is to talk about you collecting the sales tax in this case. So again, we're in a little bit of a stalemate. I would prefer to not make these videos. I'm just being transparent with the public because this is America. They deserve to know what's going on with me when they see my mugshot online, and they deserve to know what's going on in the government. So America is for the people, and the people are the ones in charge. I don't have anything against you guys personally. I haven't seen your faces. I'm sure you're great people, and I know your job is to collect tax, but what better way to collect tax than to educate people on how to be in compliance? The pissing match does not work. America was founded by real people that value and protect freedoms, and I'm one of those people.
And they started a revolution because they taxed their tea too much. And the percentage rate wasn't even close to what they're taxing us. If the colonists back then, the revolutionaries, saw what we were being taxed and what we're tolerating, they'd probably turn their muskets on us too and just kind of start the whole system over again.
I keep playing this game on. If we can have a meeting and talk about this and figure out a way to educate people on what your guys' goal is, game on as well. I would love to work together. But just as the same reason my mugshot was public when I was arrested with 5 cops at my door, the public deserves to know why. And that's why I've made...
No, don't work together with the mafia. We don't negotiate with mob terrorists. I'll leave the link to Cody's video in the description below. If you visit him, let him know that the disturbing illusion sent you. And let's try to change the landscape of America so we can actually truly be the land of the free, home of the brave. If you like these videos and you want to support this channel, you can do it for free. Just like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, grab a shirt, become a channel member. But more importantly, understand, the government is that armed, parasitic, psychopathic, narcissistic, criminal, thieving gang you were afraid would take over in the absence of government. I'll see you in the next video.